All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of council here in North Fourth on this beautiful September 2nd morning. I always say September is the nicest summer month. Anyway, I want to welcome folks that are joining us in real time online or either here in person. And also welcome to those folks that may be watching this meeting at a later date and time, because we do record our meetings and we upload them to our YouTube channel. So please be advised that any comments or opinions that are made or expressed during this meeting will be recorded and available for the public to hear. And before we get into our business, council would like to acknowledge that we meet on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, in particular our neighbors from Kawartha Anishinaabe and Kirk Lake First Nations. We recognize and honor the original people of this place we call North Kawartha. As duly elected representatives, we follow this Indigenous practice of acknowledgement to foster respectful deliberations and thoughtful collaboration and wise decision-making in our service to this community. And with that, I would ask, is there any member of council that has a pecuniary interest with any of the matters before us? Seeing none, I'm going to move on then to adoption of the agenda. I don't believe there's anything to add, so I need a motion to adopt. Moved by Jim Whalen, seconded by Jim O'Shea. All those in favor, the agenda has been adopted. And I will declare that we are going into statutory public hearing, and for the purpose of hearing two zone amendment applications. Public hearings provide an opportunity for members of the public and property owners to request relief from planning rules and regulations. It also provides an opportunity for members of the public to provide comment on those requests for relief. And while we do encourage everyone to submit those comments to council so we can make this best decision possible, recent changes to the Planning Act have eliminated the right of appeal on applications except for specified persons, the applicant and particular agencies. And for those folks, there is a 20-day appeal period, which begins the day the decision notice is posted. So with that, I think I've covered everything. I'm going to turn it over to Laura. Good morning, and please go ahead with the first application.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and members of council. The first application is ZA-05-25 for the property known as 40 Siskin Lane. The owners are Rachel and Eric Van Etten. The zones are shoreline residential and shoreline residential with exception 73. And the official plan designation is seasonal residential. The recommendation is that council approve zoning bylaw amendment application ZA-05-25 to create one site-specific zone for the entirety of the property and to permit a tear down and rebuild of an existing dwelling with a proposed high water mark setback of 8.3 meters to the deck and 11 meters to the dwelling. The proposed height of the dwelling is 8.5 meters. Through the application process, the application was compared against the provincial planning statement and was found to meet the intent of that same statement. Review of the county's official plan, including local policies, was measured against this application, and this application was found to be in conformity with the County of Peterborough's official plan. The zoning is not in conformity because currently there are two zones on the lot after a merging of properties, one being the typical season or shoreline residential zone, the other being a shoreline residential with exception. So this application would provide an opportunity to merge the zones as well as to permit a form of development located within the first 9 meters of the high water mark, which is otherwise not permitted. This application is consistent with the PPS and the county's official plan and should be approved.
All right, thank you for that, Laura. Okay, and now I would ask if the applicant or the applicant's representative is here and would like to provide further information to what our planners presented. And there I see him. Good morning, Mr. Duguay. Welcome.
Good morning, Mayor Amiot, council members, and Laura Stone. And I agree, September is a great summer month, and it's certainly starting off on that note. I have had opportunity to review the report that Ms. Stone has provided to council. I concur with its recommendations. As noted, the property owners did acquire some lands on the south side of Siskin Lane, which substantively adds to the land base. However, the Siskin Lane road facility is such that there's separate zones, one on the waterfront side, one on the other, and the mechanism to alleviate same is to create a consistent zoning district, which has been outlined by Ms. Stone, and I agree with same. I'm certainly familiar with Siskin Lane. I've provided planning services area in the past. The development as proposed is consistent with the built form and general context of area properties. And this is an appropriate redevelopment of this waterfront property. In conclusion, Mayor Amiot, council members, it is my professional planning opinion that this zoning bylaw amendment application is consistent with the 2024 PPS in conformity with official plan documents, including the forthcoming county official plan, and is generally in keeping with your, I had to add that comment, but generally in conformity with the regulatory provisions of your zoning bylaw, including the proposed new district, a common zone to be applied to the whole property. I would make myself available in the event there are questions of me at this time. And thank you for your consideration of my delegation.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, at this point, I would ask if there is any member of the public that is here that would like to provide comment on this application. Looking mostly online, because I see lots of names up there. Just put your hand up, turn on your video if you want to make a comment on this. And there's nobody here in the gallery that is indicating. Laura, can I ask, has there been any written submissions?
The only written submission received was from Crowe Valley Conservation Authority saying they do not have an issue with their proposal.
Okay. All right, that's great then. Okay, so I'm not seeing anybody wanting to speak, so I'm going to turn it over to council for questions, comments, or a motion. Jim.
So I take it it'll all be shoreline residential when you're finished?
Through you, Madam Mayor, it will be shoreline residential with exception to capture the other provisions in the recommendation.
Okay, and that's about all. I don't think I have anything else.
No other questions? Okay, anybody else? Looking for a motion then. Jim.
I move that the application ZA-05-25, which meets the intent of the provincial policy statement and the official plan. As Kevin says, so that's coming down the pipe sometime. And it's a good plan.
Okay, so move to approve that amendment. Seconder, who's gonna second it? Colin will second it. All those in favor? That has been approved. All right.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Kay.
Have a great morning. Bye for now.
See ya.
Thanks, Kevin.
Okay, and where am I on the next one? Oh, yeah, we've got ZA-09-25. Please go ahead, Laura.
Thank you very much. So as mentioned, this application is ZA-09-25, which is 30 Fire Route 76A. The owners are Wayne Cito and the agent is Adam Dragizic. There again on this application, two zones, shoreline residential and crown land. The application recommendation is that council approves zoning bylaw amendment application ZA-09-25 to create one site specific zone to address the merging of the purchased crown land zone and shoreline residential zone. The crown land portion was purchased in 2018 and is recognized as part 4 on the survey provided with the application. The property has frontage onto Eels Lake, so just as a reference of where that is with the fire route. The application was compared against the 2024 provincial planning statement and it was found to meet the intent of that document. The application also meets the intent of the county official plan and the zoning bylaw. So the application to rezone the subject lots is consistent with the provincial policies or provincial planning statement and the county's official plan and should be approved. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Perfect, thank you, Laura. Okay, and once again, I'm going to ask if the applicant or the applicant's representative would like to speak. And I see Adam's put his hand up already. Good morning, Adam. Please go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. Yep, nope, just wanted to let everybody know that I'm here, and if there's any questions, I can answer those. Hope everyone's having a good morning.
Perfect, okay, thank you. All right, I'm gonna ask then if there's many members of the public that are here that would like to speak on this application, either in support of or in opposition to. This is the opportunity to speak, and I do see a hand up. I see Mr. John Hurley, good morning, and I'm just gonna ask you to unmute, and if you want to turn your video on, you can do that as well.
There we go.
There we are, good morning.
Hello, morning.
We're John and Peggy Hurley. We're at number 42, Fire Route 76A, your neighbor.
We don't see each other very often.
We just had two questions about the this project. There is a hydro line that runs between our property across the lake. I just want to make sure that's been located and appropriate care is taken for it, because it rests on the surface most of the year. And the other question is, there is a small spring that runs from directly behind their proposed building that has a small stream running through our property. Will there be any impact on that would negatively affect us?
Okay, all right, well, thank you for those questions. I don't know, Laura or Adam, between the two of you, who would like to respond? Adam, go ahead.
Yep, I can respond. So prior to construction actually starting, we always do a locate. So all the underground wires and hydro wires will be identified. Those will be marked, and everyone will be aware. And yep. So yeah, it's pretty common practice that you get a locate done. So in terms of wires being affected, that is typically never an issue. And then with regard to the seasonal drainage there towards the rear, we've addressed that. There's a small little I guess small little culvert that the Cedos and Wangs have put in at some point in time over the driveway. I don't know if it was them when they owned it or prior to, but that is going to be maintained. So there won't be any sort of additional water flow in your direction. Everything will be maintained. If anything, it'll be improved for what their site is.
A very pretty little site.
The water we have is towards the lake shore, between the old road and the lake shore. There is a stream that comes from your property through to us, and we've had to put a culvert in to divert it around our place also. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that wasn't going to get disturbed unless you happen to improve it and send it straight towards the lake.
Yeah,
more
so
directly.
whenever we're constructing something for a client, we're always taking into consideration neighbors' properties. We're not trying to put one person out at the benefit of another. So we understand that you guys have to live next to each other and have relationships. So we definitely want to make sure that if there's anything we can do at that during that process to make it better for everyone, we will.
Yeah, because this is not seasonal runoff. It is a spring. It is wet year round.
Yeah, so I mean, we were in there, and I don't believe it was really wet recently. I mean, we've had a very dry summer, right?
Yeah.
So
Haven't had rain.
no, so yes, I've seen it.
Is wet.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're talking about. Yeah.
That's great. And that's where the hydro line runs to, the big fat one?
It's under it.
It's through that area.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for those questions, and thanks for those answers. Adam, is there
You're
any
welcome.
other comments or questions? This is the opportunity. Can I just ask again, has there anything been submitted, any verbal or pardon me, written submissions?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay, well then I'm going to go back to council. Questions, comments? Or perhaps you're prepared to make a motion. Anyone? Oh, Jim O'Shea, go ahead.
Excuse me, I'll move the recommendation.
Wonderful. Is there a second for that? Seconded by Colin. All those in favor of the motion to approve the zoning bylaw amendments? That's been carried. All right. Thanks, Adam. Thanks to
Thank
the
you.
Hurleys. Thanks to the Cetos. Nice to see everybody, even though it's just little black squares for most of you. All right, and that's it. I'm going to declare that we are out of statutory public hearing. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
And we will carry on with the rest of the business items listed on our agenda. Okay, so next up, we have presentations and reports. Peterborough County report. I was only there for part of the meeting, so Jim and I are gonna tag team on this one. We did officially meet our federal representative, Emma Harrison, and she gave quite a detailed talk and introduce herself and some of the things that are taking place in Ottawa. The other thing I did want to mention as well, I am on the Lang Advisory Committee with the county, and Lang is going through a bit of a transition. We've been something that's kind of been looked at over the last couple of years. But the way Lang is operating right now, we don't, we just want to make sure that it's sustainable and thriving into the future. And so at the last county council meeting, a Lang Museum Transition Committee is to be established, and with the intent to create a board of directors and incorporate it as a not-for-profit organization. Basically, with the way Lang is run now, we don't have the ability to access a lot of government grants and funds, different things that a lot of other museums and living history museums do have. Our hands are tied a little bit, so it's not that we're giving up Lang completely. It would still be owned by the county and maintained as a county asset, but it would give more freedom and flexibility to a board and to volunteers to sort of take it to the next level and to, as I said, to ensure that it is sustainable and thriving into the future. So that's something that's, we're gonna be working through and hopefully get everything sort of transition all taken care of by, this time next year is sort of the goal, right? So that's one thing. And then, Jim, tell us about the planning fees
Okay.
and anything else.
Yeah, they want to raise all the planning fees, the one that really got us was the pre-consultation fee. We all want these pre-consultations, but now they want the people to pay for them, so. We felt that they should look at it and see, and Laura, I'm gonna put you on the spot here because I didn't get a chance to call you, but these pre-consultations, in your opinion, they seem to me to be valuable, but how do you come down on that? Do you think if we had to pay for them, that people would still come and get them?
Through you, Madam Mayor,
Mhm.
I think that it would be dependent on the fee. They are very valuable. They do take a tremendous amount of staff time. Typically, several departments and agencies are present for the pre-consultation. So I can understand the desire to have a fee associated with that. However, you want to make sure that the fee isn't such that it would deter people from pre-consultation.
Well, one of our recommendations was that if we pay a fee and it goes through, then it's deducted from the, from the cost of doing whatever they want to do. You agree with that?
I think that's very reasonable through you,
Yeah.
Madam Mayor. Yeah.
What do you think, guys? Because we have to.
Well, it's
we have to go
deferred,
back and
right?
talk on this.
You guys deferred it because there were a whole list of
Yeah, but that's what I
recommendations.
say, we have to go back and talk on it, so,
Um,
that's sort of Carol and I, between the two of us, when we were, before she had to leave,
Yeah, I had provided comments to Jim because I was looking through it and full disclosure, I didn't necessarily have an issue with amending and sort of updating the fees. They did do, it's a very comprehensive report, a lot of comparison with our neighboring municipalities and that kind of thing. And I know, we're in, the current environment right now within the province of, building homes faster, reducing red tape, streamlining things. So part of the argument is like, why would you raise the fees? That's gonna be deterrent, but yet I'm looking at some of our neighboring municipalities where development is happening gangbusters and they're huge fees over there. So I think in order to be competitive and as well as to support the activities that our staff are doing and everything, I think it makes sense. Except for when it comes to the pre-con, and I know we had some discussion over the last couple of years, like where it was mandatory, and then it was like, no, it's not mandatory. So I really struggle with, with something that's not considered mandatory anymore, suddenly putting a fee on it. I think you will push people away from undertaking that. If they don't have to do it, why would they, right? And a fee would just kind of, so, but my thinking is too, is that, they did want to go with something like that, to have it be kind of come off the, the other end of whether, if it's a zoning amendment fee or whatever, it makes a lot of sense, but we want to encourage people. We just had that today at Committee of Adjustment, a lot of consultation going back and forth, right? Getting people to sort of, get to a place where they can be successful with the application that they want to bring forward. So I don't want to discourage anyone from coming and talking to our knowledgeable staff and to those agencies that ultimately, bring forward those recommendations. Anybody?
I have a difficulty with the raising of any fees. I realize that communities are still seeing success with fees, but all that. There's only one person that ends up paying it at the end of the day, and that's the home buyer. So it's going to increase the cost of any property. And it's been a priority of every municipality in Ontario that I know of to attract more housing. But they refuse to actually invest taxpayer money into development and creating more housing. Whereas when it comes to something like healthcare, it's so easy just to start throwing money at it, even though it's chiefly a provincial responsibility. So I don't see why we aren't able to actually invest and run a building department at a loss when the building department running efficiently and creating new homes really is a shared priority amongst all of the municipalities that are having this discussion.
Yeah.
Good thoughts.
Personally, I don't have a problem with using a fee to help pay for that part of our program. I actually am in the position right now where I'm having a garage built. And I did go down to see Matt prior to, and his instructions made it easy for me. So from that perspective, it paid off. So if there was a fee involved, I wouldn't have hesitated.
Right.
But that's just me.
Well, we'll bring back comments certainly, because like I said, this the report was deferred to allow for some further discussion, and a couple of things of note. I think we are the only municipality, I could be wrong, that doesn't have development charges. There are development charges at the county level, and I think all the other municipalities within Peterborough County also have their own development charges. There's that balance of like, growth paying for growth and having like a user pay system. Do we want all of our residents to be paying for the development of a particular? So it's always trying to hit that balance of what's reasonable, what's appropriate, what makes sense. We don't want to discourage development. We also want to make sure that we're covering the costs that are involved. So it's not an easy thing to decide on, but Jim?
No, it isn't, and it really bugs me to pay that the homeowner here has to pay, what, $12,000 now on development charge to the county.
15.
It's
What is it?
15.
With school board, with the two school boards, it's just over 15.
$15,000 before they start. I have a problem with that. On the other hand, we had two, I told you, two applications on land division, they were both from here. And we're $800 cash in lieu of parkland, and we're way low. The lowest other one is 1,050, and the others, most of them are 1,500. So, you know, we're.
And it's
one way
been
or another.
$800 cash in lieu of parkland since I started on council in 2003. So that hasn't been a change at all, but, right, but I mean, hey, you know, it's.
And just to clarify my earlier
Yeah.
comment, I'm not blaming our building department for holding up development within Apsley. It's just more like this, thinking back way in time, this country was founded on giving away tiny plots of land that all led to the St. Lawrence River. And just how far things have shifted to try to attract people to rural areas. It's a difficulty of mine.
It's yeah. We joined Halliburton, we'll be okay.
Okay, well, that's a topic for another day. Okay. Any other, anything else with the,
I have nothing else.
nothing else for the county, report? If there's no other questions, then motion to receive our county report. Moved by Jim, seconded by Colin, all in favor. That is approved. That was moved by Jim O'Shea, Connie. Okay, and Colin, Crowe Valley Conservation Authority.
So it's a fairly brief one. We haven't made any change to our water level 1 declaration, so we're still asking people to conserve water where possible, but no restrictions have been put into place. We did meet and have a special meeting in August for a hearing. And the general manager replacement committee is sort of moving along very well. I think in September, we should be able to announce some good news. But there is also healthy discussion about the introduction of the new chief conservation official from the province. And that's certainly going to be a consideration while we're thinking about these potential, well, definite changes in leadership at Crowe Valley. So.
Okay. Good.
Boy, you got a lot going on. Good luck with it all.
All right. Any questions or comments on that?
Move the report.
Move to receive by Jim Whalen, seconded by Jim O'Shea, all in favor. The Crowe Valley report has been received. Adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting of council that was held on August 12th. There are no errors or omissions. Can I have a motion to adopt those minutes, please? Moved by Colin, seconded by Jim O'Shea, all in favor. Those have been adopted, and the consent agenda.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
call number 8, please.
Yes, we may. Is there anybody else that wants to pull anything out? Seeing none, then okay, we'll go to number 8. And would you like us to support it?
Yes, I definitely like us to support it because, just a second, I want to get the line that he's got in here. Oh, come on, got a blank screen.
Give it a second.
Anyway, basically what they're looking for, you know, large urban centers are increasingly looking to rural areas to bury their waste, continue burying garbage in the ground or whenever they lead to serious consequences. So they're talking about, going to the Ontario government about incineration. And, you guys know that I've talked about this before. I've talked about it at the county and, I'd like us to support this, because it makes a lot of sense. Whoever this Jim Flyer, I'm gonna spell his weed is, right along the same thinking I am.
Yeah, I think my previous county report, we talked about the life expectancy of the Bensford landfill is closing significantly. I mean, 2030, right? If we don't do something like drastic, and we need to, and we've been talking about this for years, but I think it's time to move forward, Colin.
And with all the technological improvements there's been, I think the scariest part of it is actually just the word incineration. And if they can come up with a slightly more attractive term for it, maybe that will help, because it's really not as scary as people going in their backyard and setting heaps of garbage bags on fire. It's a completely different process these
I
days.
burn my garbage.
But I think that's what people think of when they hear garbage incineration.
Well, it's a good point, and you know what, let's just read out part of this letter. It talks about clean incineration technology can drastically reduce the volume of waste going to landfills while producing much needed electricity. Germany serves as an inspiring model, operating 156 municipal thermal waste incineration facilities with an aggregate annual capacity of 25 million tons. At the same time, Germany recycles 66.1% of its municipal waste, the highest rate in the world, driven by strong community engagement, innovative infrastructure, and early education programs that foster a culture of sustainability. So it can be done, right?
And then there's a lot more there, guys. It's worth reading. It's a resolution for incineration. Boy, it is a very, very well thought out motion that the guys
Yeah.
put forward.
Okay, so Jim, you're going to move that
I'm gonna
resolution?
move it for sure.
Okay, is there a seconder for that? Seconded by Colin. All those in favor? That is approved. And can I have a motion to receive the balance of the consent agenda items, please? Moved by Jim O'Shea, seconded by Jim Whalen, all in favor. The consent agenda has been approved. Okay, moving right along, we're into staff reports requiring action, and we have, speaking of trash, Gary, you're here to tell us about all the waste that we've diverted, not burned. Good morning, Gary. Please go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. I also read that resolution. I believe it was Tweed that you were just speaking about. And unfortunately, I haven't done enough research on incineration to really make an educated comment, but it definitely is a viable alternative that, as the mayor said, that at some point in time we all need to be looking at. That being said, if we keep our diversion percentage growing, we may not have to worry about garbage going to a landfill site. Proud to say that North Kawarth achieved a 57% diversion rate in 2024, which was fantastic, second in the county. We've almost attained the like pie in the sky number that they created a few years ago when 50% used to be the big number, and we attained that. And then waste diversion Ontario, which is no longer, and they had created a number of 60%, and then that went into the county's waste management plan, and the thought back then was nobody's going to do that, and here we are. We've almost attained 57%. Sorry, we've almost attained 60%, and only one other municipality in the county was slightly ahead of us, and that was Kawartha Lakes. Our garbage was up. Household garbage per capita was up a little bit, 6% in 2024. I think when they do the calculations, one thing that gets a little bit skewed, so we have seasonal residents. So they try to take into consideration that, well, seasonal residents aren't here all the time. So they use a percentage of what they think the seasonal residents will be here for when calculating household garbage. But then at the same time, we have a lot of people that will rent out their places. And then so, the people that are there are creating garbage. So when they think that maybe a seasonal resident is only going to be at their cottage for 100 days a year, well, it may be occupied another 100 days, by friends, family, a tenant. So although we went up 6%, it's really hard to tell, with those figures based upon the household when we do have a large seasonal residents. Bottom line is our diversion went up as well, and we offset it, so we maintained. When everybody else was dropping down in 24, we were able to hold our own, so I'm very proud of that. We'll continue to develop our diversion programs. I must say, throughout probably 8 months of the year, we have no problem handling the volume that we have. We do have challenges in July and August, no doubt. We don't have large sites. We only have 2 bins at each site. That's what we have space for. And we just get inundated in those couple of months. And unfortunately, the companies that collect our bins also have a number of other customers, so they can't be at our sites on a daily basis. But again, that's just mainly during the very busy months and we roll with the punches. Other than that, does anybody have any questions on this report?
Anybody? Any questions, any comments? Jim?
Yes, I have been asked just recently about waste pickup for businesses. And the person I was talking to had no information about it and was actually quite concerned about waste pickup. And
Do you
how-
want waste or recycling?
Waste or recycling, Jim?
Recycling is the change.
Recycling is.
Oh,
Okay. Because we do the waste, recycling is now provincial.
yeah, and how is that going to work?
Well, talk to your
You got-
MPP.
You probably
So
got the
that-
same complaints I did.
Sorry, go ahead, Gary.
That's another whole conversation and separate from this report. But as we know, come January 1st, 2026, blue box recycling from non-eligible sources will no longer be collected at the curbside. And right now, we don't even know if it will be collected in our transfer station. So we received our first sort of reiteration of not the actual contract, but what the changes may be in the contract. And one of the changes was removing IC&I recycling from our depot collection contract. So we obviously sent that back very quickly, saying we would like to continue to include IC&I blue box recycling in our depots with the same agreement that we have right now, where we pay 2.58% off the top. So we haven't heard back yet, because as we know, this is all a much larger situation and challenge that the province and the producers have ahead of them here, because right now there needs to be a viable solution, by the producers and by Circular Materials Ontario for our non-eligible sources. And that's just not us. Every single township, within the county, they need to know, where is that recycling going and how's it going to be collected?
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you do if the location for the recycling process pickup is also the home of the people? Does this apply?
Well, then they'd be putting their recycling out as a resident.
We're there as a residence.
Unless it's being specifically identified as coming from an ineligible source, they may be okay to put their recycling out. If it's from like a home-based.
The
business or-
residencies,
Go ahead, Gary.
correct. The residency still qualifies for curbside collection service. So whatever that residency produces, there's no limits on how much you can produce in recycling. They used to say a resident can't put out any more than 10 blue boxes. I've never seen, there's been a couple situations where we've had people put out more than 10 and they've been collected. But there's really no limits right now on the amount of curbside recycling a resident can put out at the curb. So I would say that, yeah, I'm not going to say it, but
No.
it's a
The
resident.
challenge is, and this is what we had that motion of support at our last meeting about, or I don't know if it was August or July, about responding back to the province and saying, if the producers cannot handle the pickup as efficiently as the municipalities did, then give it back to the municipalities and we'll hand the producers the bill for it, because we can do it and we have done it. The challenge is going to be, as you watch a recycling truck drive down Burley Street, pick up from all the homes, but not pick up from any of the businesses or like I said, it's the most ridiculous, inefficient duplication of service I've ever seen. And like I said, and the province sort of cowtailing to the producers who are saying, oh, it's costing us so much money. We didn't know, like, oh my gosh, set the targets. This is what you're supposed to do. The whole motive for this was to, that whole circular economy and you guys produce it. If you don't want to collect it, then reduce it, reduce what you're producing, right? Or change it. So we'll see. It still requires a lot of lobbying. Believe me, every time I see Dave Smith, one of the first things out of my mouth is, what are you doing about the recycling pickup for non-eligible? And I would encourage all folks to do it, no matter who your MPP is, whether you're a cottager here or at home. Raise the issue, continue to do it, because this is going to become, I think, a real nightmare come January 1st.
So our variety store down here, Hunters.
Yep.
They live there. They shouldn't get impacted.
They have a commercial operation there too, right? That's a challenge, right? Can they claim that it's all residential? I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I mean.
That-
This
that
is
would-
going to be a nightmare.
Yeah. That would be a
Lovely.
difficult one, Hunters. Because it's a storefront, that would be a difficult one, but a small home-based business would be hard to tell the difference. The question that I've asked, and I'm sure you've all asked it too, and nobody seems to have the right answer is, or have an answer period is, if I buy a bottle of Pepsi and throw it in my blue box bin, if I open up that bottle of Pepsi at home and I take it to the arena and I finish it there and I throw it in the blue bin at the arena, like what's the difference? But it won't be collected at the arena, but it'll be collected at my house. Like nobody can give me an answer to that. Like I'm just looking for a clear what I can't. And also, I mean, the producers, although they say, oh, it's costing us a lot more, we got to remember too, they raised the price on all the products. And there was letters that went out to consumers, late 2023 saying, bottles of pop are going to go up by X cents per bottle and so on. So prices were raised by producers to offset the cost of the blue box recycling program that they knew they were getting into. So I'm still a little bit baffled as to some of the decisions that are being made.
Gary, is there anything that we can do to push this? Because even if the businesses could take it to the transfer station, I think it would solve about 95% of our problems, because most of the businesses could deke into Anstruther or into Altane and drop off the recycles. And because the one person I talked to got an estimate of about $4,000 a year. To pick
Yeah,
up a
so I
recycler.
mean, it's not just us. Jim, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, I will certainly let you know, and I know Alana will as well too. But at this point, all municipalities have sort of, gone back to circular materials and said, okay, we want to continue collecting the IC&I recycling at our depots. And the Minister of Environment stepped in, I guess about 3 weeks ago now, and told them that their current system is like not viable. They have to come up with a better solution. So even the MECP has stepped into the game now, which is needed. I mean, it's the Ministry of Environment. So hopefully they're gonna come up with a better proposal here shortly. But just keep lobbying the MPs and MPPs.
Yeah, exactly.
And if the whole goal is to be eco-friendly here, I think it's pretty insane that they're removing the properties that produce the most recyclable and waste
Why do
per property.
Why do you think the manufacturers want them removed?
Exactly. And they're ill
And that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's, yes. And and Gary, you tweaked my brain. I was thinking about, like people are gonna take matters into their own hands, and suddenly, all of these residents who maybe only put out 1 or 2 boxes a week suddenly have 4 or 5, as we all get together and share the. It's like, sure, I'll take on one of your boxes.
You get served.
Well, and that's the other thing too. There are some of those businesses, just by the sheer volume, that have always sort of done to manage their own thing. But for a lot of folks, it's always like, businesses or other institutions, they put it out, It gets collected. It was very efficient. It was effective. It worked. We were doing it so well. For how many years? And now, anyway, but let's get back. You have a report here. Congratulations to us for our diversion anyway. And good on you. And let's try to beat Trent Lakes. Although it's gonna be hard. I want to say you're not comparing apples to oranges because they don't even offer curbside pickup. Right? So I think that's pretty.
They don't, yeah, they're cheaters, but,
No offense to Carrie in the group.
I was kidding, but, hopefully, now, I don't know how much they'll allow me to use, but if I'm able to use or we are able to use the storm debris in our calculations next year, we might be at 90% diversion. But I don't know how much storm debris they'll allow me to use as a diversion, but we'll see. I'm gonna try.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll stay tuned for that then. Thanks, Gary. Can I have a motion?
Thank you very much.
Motion
Hope
to receive the
everybody has a
report.
great day.
Thanks, Gary. Moved by Jim Whalen, seconded by Jim O'Shea. All in favor? That has been received. Okay, and now we're on
Everybody.
to. Thanks, Gary. Take care. All right, we're on to our administration reports, and the first one up is procedural bylaw amendments in the staff report here. Who is this? Oh, wait a minute, I'm looking on the wrong one. Is it Kelly? Hey, Kelly.
Morning.
Good morning. You want to take us through? I didn't.
Yes, this is, we did redo the procedure bylaw in July,
Yeah.
but since then, the ministry has come out with some recommendations regarding notice for emergency meetings.
Right.
So if we were to have an emergency meeting, currently with our procedure bylaw, we are required to provide 48 hours notice.
Yep.
This amendment to the bylaw would provide that no public notice is required for the emergency meeting. We could call that meeting.
Good.
I agree with that change, but however, and discussions with Connie as well too. One of the things, we would still try to put notes, like maybe it'd only be a couple hours, but I still think, best practice would state that we would put out the notice regardless of the time.
48 hours, 2 days
Well,
later.
how do you know, right? But I think it would make it a lot, well, it may make it easier for when we are dealing, as you got staff, we've got the emergency sort of team that are meeting on a regular basis. But if I could, say, all right, council, come on in, because we're gonna make some decisions here and, we may need to do some stuff, we could put a notice out that a meeting's gonna happen in a few hours from now or at the end of the day or something. So I still think we could do that, but having that change come through from the ministry, I mean, we don't really have a choice. We need to put that in there, right? So, any questions or comments on that? If not, anybody want to make a motion?
Motion
To approve?
To approve the recommendation.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Sorry, that's right.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was to provide notice of the intention, but that's the recommendation, sorry.
That is the recommendation. So we're gonna make that change, but this is the notice letting know that it's coming. Okay, seconder for that. Seconded by Colin. All those in favor? That is approved. Okay, Edward, come on up. Here to talk about EV chargers and Hydrogeologic. So. Good morning.
All electric vehicle.
No, good, that's a good report. Well, they're both good reports. It's, the details, because I got a lot of people asking, when's it happening? When's it happening? And this is going to be a good update.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mayor and Council. So for my first report is about the EV ChargeON program. So as you recall that, last year we put $75,000 in the capital budget to support the EV charging stations at the NKCC when we were informed that we were successful in the ChargeON grant. And then after that, we've been working through, starting with Hydrogeologic. Things got delayed with the ice storm and other works. The MTO has extended the grant funding until November 2026 to see through this project. So since that time, staff have been working with Hydrogeologic and different equipment suppliers and electricians to get quotes and information for this project. Going through that with that, so once we knew we had the funding for the specific site, then we looked at the actual physical location for the installation of the chargers. So after doing looking at various options, we've kind of looked at option one being at the far end, east end of the parking lot facing towards Jack Lake Road. So this location provides the lowest life cycle cost, as in that Hydro-One would be providing at their cost the first primary transformer. Also allows for future expansion if demand warrants for additional EV chargers, and has no impact in terms of electrical cutoff or any impact of servicing at the NKCC itself. So it'll be a brand new installation and service from Hydro-One from Jack Lake Road. And also that we propose a plan, the pave and add 4 new parking spots for EV use, so we wouldn't be taking away from any of the existing parking at the NKCC, because at times, especially during some of the big events, the parking lot is full and even out onto the street, so we don't want to take away from the parking that is currently there. With that location, we do have to take into consideration clearance for the snow storage for public works, so keep in mind, that there's enough clearance for that for the vehicles with that location. So with talking with Jason, that's been consulted and will be factored into the design with option 1. So originally we did also look at in the southwest corner, kind of pole 4, but with the installation of the equipment, the transformers, actual grounding rods need to be installed 6 to 8 feet in the ground. So with the septic running through that area, it's not feasible. As well, we can significantly cut into the parking in that corner of the parking lot and also impact snow clearing operations. And at the front of the building itself, again, there was originally proposals when the NKCC was first built for expansion at the front, and if the transformers and all the equipment was put there, it would take away from any future expansion of the facility itself as well. So that's why staff are recommending the option 1 at the overfacing towards Jack Lake Road for this project. So the total budget cost is around $300,000. So the province would be contributing around $165,000, with the township share about $135,000. So staff are recommending that $75,000 that was already budgeted in 2025 be carried forward into 2026, with adding additional $60,000 into the CapEx budget. That also includes the 20% contingency. Going along with that, staff are also recommending Flow as the hardware supplier for this project, with the quotes received through the Canoe Procurement Group. So using Canoe solved, really gave the need for a lengthy RFP but still ensured competitive pricing. And Flow manufactures the equipment in Quebec as well. So meeting the recommendations for procuring from the Ontario government as well. So I think, again, with the recommendation here of having, with this project, having the level 2 and level 3 chargers at the NKCC would allow us to serve both residents and seasonal visitors to the Apsley area. And I think reaffirms that NKCC as a community hub and would also support the tourism and local economic development to the area. So I don't know if council had any further questions about the report or recommendations at this time.
Okay, all right, I'm sure there is. Jim, start us off.
You've talked to Jason about the snow storage, because it doesn't look that big on here, but I guess there's some room there for 2 cars to be parked out from another and still have room for the trucks to be able to maneuver, okay?
Yeah, through you, Mayor, to council. So we'd be paving further east towards Jack Lake Road itself. So there's a section of land that makes up the former road allowance in front of the NKCC. So we'd be moving in towards that area and then making sure that there's significant clearance at least a couple of feet beyond the back of a vehicle to anywhere that Public Works would be pushing the snow in towards the snow storage area itself.
That's the only question I have.
Okay. Anybody else?
The only thought I had looking at it is, and I can understand the attraction of EV option number 1, but we're kind of just tossing them out in the middle of nowhere to charge. It's not attractive to go into the community center and relax. You're walking across the entire parking lot. There's no businesses to access there. EV option 2, at least is friendly for people to go in the community center while it's charging. I know they're not always put in like the most convenient locations, but I find they're usually fairly convenient locations, and option 1 is not convenient.
I agree.
Well, I've got a couple of comments. So, first of all, I like how you explored all of this. And one of the things I was actually thinking of is that because, well, first of all, I think it's great that Hydro is planning to like kick in for this. And I think that makes option 1 really attractive, right? Like it's, we're gonna be paying even more to put it in the other area, but you're also looking at the future expansion. We're not just gonna have 4 forever. So part of my thinking is, and I support option 1. I think it does make the most sense. I get it. It's not right up close to the community center, but it's still in the parking lot. It's still there. It's way more convenient than what we've got now, which is nothing, right? And if we're gonna pave, like if we're gonna spend the money to put in a paved section for just 4 spots, why wouldn't we just put in like 8 or 10 or a dozen? Because at some point, there's gonna be other grants. There's gonna be other, the potential to expand is gonna be there. And if we can be shovel ready, right? And say, look at, like, we've got another 4 spaces or another 6 spaces where we can add on to this. Problems be like, hey, yeah, here, we'll give you some more money. So that's what I'm thinking. I think option 1 does make the most sense, given all of the factors that are coming into play. But I think we should why not pay more now, be ready? So maybe we're gonna be transferring more money from reserves or looking at more money in the budget. I don't know. Jim.
I imagine you'll have to pull up the section of the pavement to get the lines run.
So for option 1, with the service from Jack Lake Road, the trend, it would be fed off the pole there, which is close to the entrance off the Jack Lake Road, and it would be trenched. Likely trenched underground, and then brought up, the transformers would be put on concrete pads. So the 7.2 kilovolt feed be brought in there, trenched up towards the parking lot, and the transformers would be installed on new cement pads at that point. So
if you went with option 2, how would you get it there?
So with option 2, I can speak, that was originally the first area that we looked at because I think to some of the points that have been brought up, that was closer to the door. And again, somewhat closer to the, facility itself. So there's a couple of challenges with that. So in the diagram, you see the area that's called demarc.
Yeah.
Passes. So basically everything past the demarc means that it's the municipality's responsibility. It's also a 44 kilovolt feed, which is very high voltage. So the challenge is that a regular electrician can't work on that. So we'd have to get any type of work, again, whether it's for the initial installation and afterward, but have to have specialized electric coming from out of the area to work on it. So then we need additional 44 kilovolt transformer as well, which is costly and our responsibility to maintain because it's past the demarc. In addition, because of the equipment that need to be installed, but again, with those ground rods, because the septic lines run just past that corner there, that we'd actually have to move out into the parking lot itself, to install the transformers, and also the parking itself. So that's why, like, on a prelim, we'd lose probably at least 8 to 12 parking spots in that corner. Plus there'd be challenges with snow clearing in that corner that every winter as well. So because we wouldn't be able to install in the grass there, we'd actually have to bring everything physically into the parking lot itself, both the transformers, the EV stations, lighting, everything would have to. So we'd lose all the parking spaces there for all that equipment, plus for the EV stations itself. Plus there'd be more, we'd be responsible for the new primary transformer Then also to anytime work needed to be done, it could possibly mean that the power would have to be cut off at the demarc, which would impact the operations at the NKCC as well. So, although that, again, when we first started looking at that project, that was kind of we thought that's the ideal location, but as we started digging into all the engineering challenges with it, that, you know, talking with Hydro-One, realizing that the septic bed, the clearances for the grounding rods, keeping back from the stormwater management area as well, to make sure additional salt that wasn't being added to the water, and that's quickly, you know, realize that option two, although closer to the door, probably more convenient, led to these significant engineering challenges, which meant that putting it there would mean that taking away a significant amount of parking within the parking lot itself.
Jim.
Well, I think it's great for option one, and they could work up an appetite walking across the lot and buy something from the concession.
I'm sure Gary would like to hear that. And possibly, again, this just maybe down the road, maybe something like a bike share could be looked at, like they're having some type, you know, a bike share covered, you know, location with bike rentals there. Maybe it's something like that is also, in addition to the site, maybe additional opportunities there to add some convenience to that location, encourage people to park and come into Apsley as well, so.
Okay, Colin.
Yeah, and I don't think you're gonna like hearing this, and it comes to the point where we've got them tucked that far away. I realize we're working within the boundaries of what was approved. We applied for the 2 locations, and they gave us the location that I think is far less attractive to the municipality, which is the community center. And then we're being shifted with power lines and conveniences to putting them in an area that almost makes them a white elephant in my mind. I'd be more comfortable knowing how much it would cost us to completely fund putting something in behind the old bank building, old municipal office, and put them downtown before spending this much money on them in that location. I know a ton of work's gone into this grant, but if this is what we're left with, I don't like option one personally.
So, but this, can we shift this?
Through you, Mayor, no, I think we were approved of this because we applied for 2 different locations, so.
This was the location.
This was the location that was approved, yeah, at least if we want the charge on matching funding, or the funding up to 165,000 in this case.
And I don't think investing in this location means that we're not gonna look at the other ones, because I know we're talking about the parking lot, you know, we're wanting to set it up so the infrastructure's in place so that it can allow for, you know, charging there as well. I don't disagree that behind the old municipal office and bank building makes a lot of sense. We need to redefine that parking to better utilize that space anyway. I think it absolutely makes sense, but I think for right now, I don't see it as significant that it's, you know, at the end of the parking lot. It's still a parking lot. People still do park there when we have big events and have to walk, right? I know from just the public feedback and questions that I've been getting, especially this past summer, it's more and more of my customers, even with my business, want like, where do you get EV charging stations, and want to know, right? And would be happy that this option is coming forward. And like I said, I still think that we may want to consider planning for the future, even in this spot, because it will be easy to add on. I believe the collaborative approach we've got with Hydro is good as well. I think going forward with this recommendation and this project, right now doesn't, as I said, doesn't prevent us from looking at those other options. And I think we need to look at those too. We've got strategic planning coming up and our capital forecast. We can't forget that, you know, there are other locations in North Kawartha, and not just Apsley, for my folks in the south, right? They're gonna want them too, right? I mean, Wilson Park is maybe another location as well, right? To put those in. I think that we want to make sure that we're as broad as possible, but it's also not cheap. And so however best prepared we can be to position ourselves for future grants and funding opportunities, let's do it. So.
And through Mayor,
Go ahead,
I think And to the question, I think, and I've received some inquiries as well. I think there'd be a mix of users using this. There'd be some that are driving to go to the NKCC specifically. But I think there's some that'd be passing through, and this might be an opportunity that hopefully they could park, and we can encourage them to come walk into Apsley and, you know, spend time in Apsley as well. So, but because I don't know, I think some of the users will be specifically visiting the NKCC as their destination. I think others will be passing through. And this is maybe an opportunity to maybe have them come into town and spend some time here as well. So, because I don't think 100% of the traffic that we're gonna be, is gonna be people that are going to something at the NKCC specifically. Some of it will be people transiting through as well.
Which is why we need to focus on other locations for these chargers within our township as well. So, Colin.
But that highlights another one of my concerns, which is once we install them in other locations, is this location gonna become very redundant? And we're gonna be left with only the people that need to spend extra money to charge at a public station while they're going to the community center. Because I think that's a pretty short list at the end of the day. The other important factor to consider, it's a lot cheaper to charge at home. So most people are attempting to charge at home wherever possible. So this would be like when your gas light comes on. So we're really catering to a niche market by putting them at the community center, in my mind.
Yeah. But you could also raise that point too, but right now, there's nothing between Lakefield and Bancroft either, right? There is that need as well. And it just kind of leads to other things that you're talking about. Was it the ride share or the cycling? I was just thinking, being in Toronto recently and availed myself to bike rickshaw transportation to get to a concert. That's awesome. Maybe there's a whole little micro business happening up. Some of the kids do a bike rickshaw from where they're plugging in to take them into town. I don't know. I don't want me to be silly about this because I think it's important. And however, we do have some restrictions when it comes to this grant and what we were approved for. And I think that we need to look at what this recommendation says, that we need to carry this over because it's not being done, obviously, this year, and that we need to take it into 2026, and we're going to need additional funds. We knew originally when we were applying for this, your predecessor, you know, we looked at some of these grants and stuff like that, are trying to do it on our own and how costly it was. I don't know if the costs are coming down. I'm hoping that they are. But for right now, I think this is something, like I said, that there is certainly a demand and a desire, you know, there with the public to get on the EV charging station map, as it were. So I think the recommendation is a good one, and I think that we could maybe have some further discussion when we get into maybe the capital budget as well too, as I said, looking at, you know, opportunities to plan for the future budget accordingly. So any other questions, Jim?
No, I'm just gonna make a motion and see where it goes.
Okay.
Excellent report, Edward, and for $60,000 to get 4 charging stations in, I think that's
135.
I know it is, but we've already put 75 away, so.
Yeah.
It's just an additional 60 to get it there, and I don't have any problem with walking across the parking lot. If I had an electric car, it wouldn't give me any problem at all, and so I move the recommendation, both recommendations, the location and the money.
Yeah, the complete recommendation. Okay. Is there a seconder for that motion? Seconded by Jim O'Shea. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor? That is approved. All right, thanks, Edward, and let's go on to your next update here, and this is for Hydrogeologic investigation at Balmer Road. This is very timely as well.
So my second report is regarding Balmer Road. So as you know, that this property was identified as a potential development site by the township, and there were preliminary studies conducted in 2010. Around the time that the township was exploring the opportunities of using this as a seniors focused housing site. At that point, the testing the preliminary hydrogeologic study said that, more pumping tests and quality sampling was required. And I think today here in 2025, the thinking about the site has evolved. I think council has both county and at the township and the county looking at a broader range of possibilities with municipally owned sites when it comes to development. Whether that's mixed use development, potentially communal or modular servicing options or alternative housing options such as tiny homes. So right now the site has 4 wells, but the wells that are there, that the results are somewhat inconsistent in terms of the yields, ranging from half a gallon per minute up to 9 gallons per minute. They're also drilled within a relatively close area, which it raises the potential for interference with if they were all used simultaneously. Also too, looking at the geologic data, that there is a bedrock transition and difference between, say, this area and up at that site on Balmer Road. And recognizing, and as it came up earlier, that this year significantly has highlighted the challenges with wells in the area, and some being at historic lows and dry itself. So staff are recommending that staff be directed to receive quotes from qualified consultants for an updated hydrogeologic investigation on the site. With staff returning to council with a recommended scope and budget and potential funding options and cost sharing options before proceeding. Should also highlight that at this point, no specific development options are being recommended or a specific servicing option. But the hydrogeologic is probably one of the primary pieces of information that would be needed in terms of informing council on the decisions and opportunities with that site itself.
Yeah. Okay, Jim, go ahead.
It doesn't say anything on here about the water itself, whether it was tested for whether it was drinkable or whether it was treatable or anything else. Have you got anything on that?
Do you remember the water was it was hard water, but which is normal for the area, but that was about it. That just would need to, but it was, could be potable drinking water, just with the hardness with the existing, at least with the information that was provided in 2010 with the water sampling done then.
But if we're looking at any kind of development at all, these are awfully low yields, I think.
There was, again, there's the 2 wells with 8 or 9 gallons per minute, which at the time, I think, again, I wasn't here at that point in time, but at that point in time, the scope of work was looking at individual wells and septic with single family homes. And again, with 8 or 9 gallons, that would be sufficient for residential at that point in time, but again, with other wells in close proximity showing needing fracturing and very low production rates. But I think, again, in terms of potential for any other type of development, additional analysis would be needed. And again, also too, with those wells being close proximity, that the interference in terms of if multiple wells within a very close area proximity drain and pulling at the same time, they can interfere with each other.
Could be getting the same pocket of water.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, well, certainly, I mean, it's been a long time, right? And we've seen lots of changes, so I think, yeah, it wouldn't make sense for us to proceed on something that was done 15 years ago, right?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you ask for a hydrogeological study, will they be drilling another well? Or will they be looking at how is that gonna go forward?
I think that would be one of the discussions that we would look at when we talk about the potential scope of work, whether the consultant recommend additional wells, maybe with a further separation as well, or based on other information if they recommend that, or doing flow rate testing on the existing wells. I think that scope of work, we discuss potential options and bring that back to council, for direction at that point in time. But
Just one more thing, the depth is, it's a long way down. Especially when you start in 600 feet and so on and so forth. But if should we be maybe drilling down in some of the lower areas of because everything that we drilled was right on the very top of the hill. All 4 wells are in a row on the top of the hill.
Through you, Mayor, I think that would again be something to look at, as well. I think with probably whether it's a professional geoscientist or again, it's better my area of expertise in terms of where specifically any additional, especially because it's a big cost of drilling per well. We want to make sure each well is strategic in terms of any future drilling and testing that's done moving forward.
Thanks.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions or comments? I have a couple, just, like I said, I think it makes sense. I think, one of the things, is because we had a defined building area based on sort of, original plans for that. And is that still gonna be the same, right? And and where we put a well, it needs to be accessible to serve whatever type of development, that's going to go in there, right? So maybe it's not up on the ridge, right? But it can't be also way off in the corner of some wooded area, right? Like we need to figure that out. And one of the things that I don't know, maybe, we'll have to like look at this with the next meeting too, but we do have the property tour coming up. And I know that Balmer was a part of it, but I know in discussions with staff, this is a pretty significant piece of property, pretty large, and could take up a lot of time. So it may make sense for us, I think maybe for our next meeting, if we can maybe get that sort of draft agenda for that tour to come to council, but we may want to have a separate tour just for Balmer. Right, to invest the time and not to feel rushed that we can, here we are, 10 minutes and get on the road to get to our next destination, right? But that is something that we can look at as well. To make sure that, when we look at some of the well locations, I'm gonna get Jim and I'm gonna get you. First, this Jim, then you, Jim. Go ahead.
Yes, a lot of people have run out of water in their wells this year.
Yep.
I'd be very interested to know how the water table has survived in this location. Because you could be wiping out a whole community of water rather than one household.
Who knows, right? Like, as I said, 15 years, it's been a long time, lots has changed.
So,
Okay.
especially with the way the weather's gone recently.
Yep.
That'd be very valuable information to have prior to making a decision, even to have a subdivision there.
Yeah. Jim?
So just on your tour, I think we should tour the 20 acres too. We've never done
Yeah, that was on
it.
those.
You
wanna say both of them together?
60 acres and then the 20.
Yeah, those two sizable chunks separated out, but like I said, we can confirm that at our next meeting, but I just thought this was timely having this discussion
I
now.
really want to do that.
Jim wants to go on a hike really
I
bad.
really want to do that one of these days.
And we should, so, but it also maybe gives staff a bit more time to prepare, because I know the challenges this summer, we're trying to get work done with the aftermath of the storm, like I'm thinking like roads and parks and rec, there's just been a lot of like physical maintenance and work happening on a lot of our facilities and properties, so preparing for a tour for council as well makes a lot of sense, so anyway, Colin, did you?
No, actually, my well ran dry this morning, so my finger was just out. When he said lots of wells are dry, I was a little bold and tried to do shower and wash my towels at the same time. I paid for it. There certainly are wells running.
Good thing it took
In
the
the area, and I think most people are, there's other people in the community that are more water dependent than me being on my own. And I've seen a lot of dry wells and people transporting large amounts of water back to their property this summer. So it's a very good point you bring up there, Jim.
Yeah.
Jack Lake Trailer Park's been closed for over a month. No water.
Yeah.
They brought in the water truck, put it in the well and disappeared.
Well, the other challenge is, and this is something too, I mean, like, as I said, lots has changed in the last 15 years, but this summer, probably, record drought. Last summer was record rainfall, right? I said I've recorded over 30 inches of rain in 4 months last summer. which was unheard of. So what a change from one to the other, and how, like, you know, it's that sort of looking at it over time, how wells will stand up to that, and what makes the most sense. And also looking at, because there's new technologies when it comes to providing water services, you know, for development too, and what kind of requirements do they need? Like, if we're not looking at individual septic wells, if we're looking at a communal system, right? So, yeah, this is timely, makes a lot of sense. And what say you, council? There is a recommendation here. Anyone?
I'll move the recommendation.
Okay, Paula moves the recommendation, seconder, Jim Whalen, all those in favor? That's approved.
Thank you.
Thanks, Edward. You want to take 10 minutes? You want to take 10 minutes? We can take 10 minutes. Sorry, Judy, yeah, we should. I thought we were gonna get going quick, but yeah, 10-minute recess.
I don't think we'll need a lunch break, so.